So for my video, I thought the inclusion of a black screen to begin the e-poem was important because it utilized the symbol of the opening line of the poem and it begins a theme of the work. And for that theme, I was going for something that was really dark and mysterious that eventually leads into something that's calming and peaceful, which is, my interpretation of the work. In the future, I feel like it would be beneficial if I were to pay more attention to small details. Like in this frame, I accidentally left the mouse in the screen I was recording, so it kind of threw the video off a little bit. So for this portion of the video, I really wanted to build on the poem's lyrics as they, created this image of someone walking down an alley, and because they called it, or excuse me, because Plath called it a blackberry alley, I thought it would be important for me to choose a video of a dark alley, so that would, be symbolic of that. Also, including this video enhanced my theme of this eeriness that is, as I mentioned, stated in the text and is also a theme that I'm trying to incorporate and build on in my piece. The dark kind of ashy video that I added right after that was also meant to build on this eerie theme that I was going for, but in addition to that, my lack of opacity skills made the video look really blurry, and since this was my first time using Camtasia, I wasn't too keen on picking up on things like that. So as I get ready to work on my new video, it'll be important for me to mess around with the multimedia and mess around with more of the software to, really hone in on those details. This video portion really bothered me, and it bothers me even more now that I'm looking at it because it looks terrible. And yes, I can say that about my own work because I am my biggest critic, but as I'm watching it, I'm just like, yeah, this was extra blurry, and I should have known it was going to transfer like that because when I recorded the screen, it was blurry. When I watched it on YouTube, it was blurry. So recording it and transferring it only made it worse, of course. So again, working with Camtasia more whenever I move into my revision, it's going to be very critical for me to pay attention to things like that. And if I see that it is something that's going to end up being really blurry, that I just need to go ahead and not use it and figure something else out to use. I think my favorite part of the project, however, is my idea about incorporating the crows into my video. Not because the lyrics of the poem specifically say that there were crows that were blown in the sky, but just because it enhances this eerie, mysterious, kind of dark, looming theme that, I have been incorporating since the beginning. And it's really fortunate that that piece of the poem kind of came in when it did, because it helped transition it really smoothly, which is something that could possibly be really, really difficult, but in this regard, it was actually something that was pretty simple for me to do. So this was the easiest part of the video, and I also feel like it was the most successful. Now, as we move along to these bushes and these flies. So I originally thought this would be a good idea, just because, again, I was taking a very literal approach in some areas. But after reading through some of the feedback, I see now that sometimes it's better to leave more to the imagination. So for my revision, I think it might be beneficial for me to pick another video to kind of incorporate in, and then if I still wanted to use the bush, then I could use that, but I kind of could just weasel it into there and not really like give it its own long drawn out space, which is what I did with this one. But I did like how the poem transitioned from one creature to the next. So I like how it transitioned from crows blowing in the sky to blue green flies that buzz around a bush. So I thought that was really interesting, and it was also a really nice way for the video to kind of transition from being, luminous and mysterious to this whole calming, getting closer to, softer aspects of nature and things of that sort. And then, of course, the remainder of the video kind of just ended up being mainly the sea. The only part I don't like about this is that I feel as though I could have been a little bit more creative. I could have incorporated more things here, but at the time of me creating the video, I felt like it was a good idea to use the sea as the remainder of my project, because again, that was the part of the poem where it kind of transitioned to something that was softer, something that was more subtle, something that was less mysterious and, less creepy, and more something that was natural and uplifting and kind of just cleared the air. So I felt like, though the poem mentioned the sea, it was also really important for me to include the sea for the remainder of it, just because it kind of gives the viewer this relaxing pull from how crazy things are in the beginning.